Welcome to Weather Extra. I'm meteorologist Jillian Johnson. It truly has been a wild week of weather, not only here in central Texas, but across the entire nation, as several powerful storm systems swept coast to coast, bringing a variety of severe weather from blizzards to tornadoes to flooding and damaging winds. We have yet another winter storm moving across the nation and central Texas this weekend. But before we get to that one, here's a look back at these storm systems that swept across the U.S., bringing hazardous weather to millions of Americans. Take a look. Since last weekend, over 3 storm systems impacted states across the nation, overall making way for a very active start to 2024. The active weather kicked off last weekend when the first significant storm system of the season barreled through the East Coast, bringing a variety of nasty weather from heavy snow to flooding rain to severe storms that brought damaging winds and even a tornado to Fort Lauderdale, Florida. But that was only the start to a very busy week of weather for the U.S. While the Northeast was getting hit hard with heavy snow last weekend, another strong winter storm was battering the West Coast and Rockies, dropping heavy snow and bringing blizzard-like conditions to several states out west Sunday into Monday. The storm system would then travel east, moving through the Central Plains, where snow and strong winds created these whiteout conditions in parts of Kansas on Monday. And at the same time, the storm system would then move into some warmer air further south, running into a perfect environment for some severe weather. Severe storms shook towns across the Gulf states Monday into Tuesday. The severe weather outbreak began in southeast Texas Monday afternoon, where strong winds knocked down trees across the Houston area. And Monday night, violent winds and hail slammed across parts of Mississippi, with flooding rain covering roads across parts of Louisiana and coastal flooding happening along Alabama's Gulf Coast. A tornado outbreak also impacted the southeast and eastern U.S. during that time. Several tornadoes touched down in at least 5 states Monday and Tuesday, including a confirmed tornado-related fatality in Alabama and another in North Carolina. The strongest tornado of the event occurred near Panama City, Florida, when an EF3 twister formed near the coast and moved onshore, destroying multiple residences and businesses. The same storm system that was dumping the heavy snow out west and producing the severe storms down south then traveled through the East Coast midweek, bringing another dose of widespread flooding, strong winds, and heavy rain and snow up and down the East Coast and in the New England states Wednesday and Thursday. This storm system also produced extreme coastal flooding along the northeast Atlantic coast. A flood emergency was issued for parts of New Hampshire as strong winds arrived just in time for high tide, sending waves from the ocean onshore, flooding numerous businesses and homes. And at the same time the East Coast was getting slammed for the second time in a week, the West Coast was dealing with yet another round of dangerous wintry weather. Emergency crews responded to an avalanche at a ski resort in California's Tahoe region Wednesday, where 1 man died and 3 others escaped. Strong winds and heavy rain also took place across the Golden State, with another round of significant snow moving through Utah and Nevada, which created dangerous traveling conditions. Once again, the storm system raced eastward, traveling across the country into a favorable environment for yet another round of severe storms across the south and southeast Thursday and Friday. The cross-country storm system produced severe storms that brought damaging winds, heavy rain, and even large hail to round out the work week. And on the northern side of that system, blizzard-like conditions made travel impossible as multiple inches of snow fell across the Great Lakes and parts of the Midwest. Strong wind gusts also accompanied the heavy snow, causing thousands of power outages. And just like the previous storm systems throughout the week, this system would follow the same path and travel through the East Coast, bringing another round of active weather to millions of Americans into this weekend. And now to round it all out, once the system moves out of the U.S., dangerously cold, bone-chilling Arctic air dives south out of Canada and settles in across the nation.
Your KWTX First Alert Forecast with meteorologist Jillian Johnson.
Well, here is a look at that bone-chilling cold Arctic air. Here's a look at current feels-like temperatures across the nation. And we are talking, well, minus 45 is what it feels like right now in Bismarck, minus 27 there into Billings, minus 31 into Lincoln, negative 24 there into Kansas. And even, well, as you can see into the Panhandle and parts of Oklahoma, they're also sub-zero right now with a feels-like temperature of 25 in Dallas. And that cold front has officially moved through the Metroplex and is starting to make its way through our northern counties right now. Now, still ahead of the front, we have some breezy south and southwest winds today. Again, the cold front itself is moving through northern Hill and parts of Bosque County as well into the northern parts of Navarro County as well. As we head throughout the rest of the evening, we're expecting our winds to quickly change direction, and then all of that cold air will begin to funnel south. You see how we have these darker colors to our north? That's indication of some stronger wind gusts, so you'll be able to really tell easily whenever this cold front moves in. Here's a look at current temperatures. It's 54 Meridian, again a sign of that cold front moving through, but look at Brownwood. It's 46, not too far away, 62 into Goldthwaite, so you can definitely tell where that frontal boundary is. Elsewhere across central Texas, we're still pretty comfortable into the upper 50s and low 60s. Hour by hour, though, temperatures will be plummeting fast behind this cold front. In fact, by 8 o'clock, already into the 40s. Once you factor in, well, the winds, we'll be having wind chill values into the 20s and 30s here this evening. By 11 o'clock, forecast models suggesting we'll be right around freezing and then sub-freezing as we head into the overnight hours. So we do have a stretch of first alert weather days beginning tomorrow through Tuesday. And the reason why we have these weather days, the first alert weather days rather, is going to be, well, because we're expecting to drop below freezing tonight, and we don't look to get above freezing until at least a Wednesday morning. We're also looking at the possibility of a light wintry mix of some freezing rain, drizzle, maybe even some sleet starting possibly tomorrow afternoon until midday Monday. Right now we're looking at trace amounts to about 0.15 of an inch, especially for our eastern and northeastern counties. And so overall, we definitely want to plan for some travel disruptions, really especially on those bridges and overpasses. Everybody in central Texas, and for that fact our region, are under a winter weather advisory from noon on Sunday until noon on Monday. And so as far as what we're expecting, you can see these temperatures just, I mean, really cold. It's really going to be just a dramatic change. Especially when you look at this past week, we've had temperatures into the upper 60s and low 70s. And now, again, starting tonight through possibly midday on Wednesday, our temperatures not reaching above 32 degrees. Then you factor in the strong winds, and it's going to feel even colder. And here's a look at some of the wind chill values that we could possibly see, maybe into the single digits, both the Sunday into Monday morning, some teens and 20s for the afternoon. So again, no matter what the temperature is, this is what it's going to be feeling like because of the winds. And this is what we have to dress for. And so you want to make sure you are layering up. Tuesday morning is going to be the coldest with wind chill values, so likely sub-zero. Then on Wednesday, we'll start to see those temperatures rebounding, but it's going to be just a very cold stretch of weather. So looking at our wintry weather potential, especially areas near I-45, that's where the better chance for highest accumulation is going to be. We'll likely have a mix of freezing rain, drizzle, and then possibly some sleet too. And so when you look at our winter weather headlines right now, falls Sunday afternoon into midday Monday. If it makes it to the ground, it's going to stick because temperatures are cold enough. Again, we're mostly going to be concerned with those bridges and overpasses, but a light glaze of ice is possible on those elevated surfaces. So go ahead and plan for slippery road conditions. The safest thing to do in this weather is just stay put inside where it's nice and warm. By 10 o'clock tonight, as you can see, the cold front is just now moving through our southern areas. We'll see temperatures into the 20s to, well, some low 30s as well. But waking up tomorrow morning, we'll be into the teens and 20s. Throughout the day, it'll stay cloudy, cold, and breezy. And as we head into the late afternoon and evening hours, we'll start to see some scattered freezing rain, maybe some sleet mixing in. And that is likely going to continue even as we head into Monday morning. Now, as far as the ice accumulation, I think we're looking at, again, just trace amounts with the highest amounts for the eastern portions of central Texas. So as you can see, weather planner, a lot going on. We have those 3 winter, first alert weather days, Sunday through Tuesday. Another cold front will be moving through Thursday into Friday, keeping us very chilly. Now, you may be wondering, how will this freeze compare to some of the previous freezes we've seen over the past few years? Well, with more on that, here's Chief Meteorologist Brady Taylor.
Over the last few years, it's kind of becoming a regular occurrence to see prolonged stretches of freezing temperatures. I want to show you kind of where this streak could compare to that. We'll take you back to 2 years ago, February 22. We had a 33-hour streak of sub-freezing temperatures. This event, we're expecting around 70 hours. We could see some areas possibly get up to around 90 hours of sub-freezing conditions. If that happens, it could exceed what we had last year, which was an 84-hour streak of sub-freezing temperatures the end of January into the beginning of February. But none of this compares at all compared to Snowmageddon of 2021, where we had a 205-hour streak of sub-freezing temperatures. So yeah, it's going to be bad, but nowhere near anything record. Now, we could break some record lows Monday and Tuesday particularly. Monday morning, our record low was 17 degrees. It's an old record. All these records pretty old, from back in 1905. During the afternoon Monday, we could set the coldest high temperature on that date as well. The record is 32, set back in 1917. Roll into Tuesday, the record low going in is 15, set back in 1930. That's another record likely to fall. And the coldest afternoon high on that date, 30 degrees, back in 1916. So yes, we've got compared to some of the recent long streaks, and we're likely to break some records as well. Do want to remind you, you can always get the very latest on your full forecast. We're updating with vital information throughout this cold snap on our free KWTX weather app. Just scan that QR code for the very latest.
Welcome back to Weather Extra. As temperatures dip, it's important to remember that winter weather can be hazardous to our health and safety. In recent years, death rates across the country have been 8 to 12% higher during winter months, according to data from the U.S. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. Now, in today's Health Minute, Mandy Gaither has more from an emergency room physician on how to protect your health in potentially life-threatening winter weather.
From frigid air to ice and snow, cold temperatures can take a toll on our bodies.
We shunt blood flow to the central kind of core of our body in an attempt to stay warm.
Dr. Christopher Bozzoli is an emergency physician at Cleveland Clinic. He says this time of year, doctors not only see rises in ER visits for respiratory viruses as more people seek refuge inside from the cold, but also frostbite and hypothermia. Bozzoli says what you wear can help keep you safe. Protect the parts of your body most vulnerable to frostbite, like toes, fingers, nose, and ears, by dressing in warm, dry clothing.
Lots of layers, and especially the layers close to your skin. You want to have breathable fabrics if possible, especially if you're engaging in activity.
Bozzoli says a sudden change in temperature and humidity can also irritate certain medical conditions like asthma. He says to make sure you have enough medicine on hand, and if you use an electric medical device, make sure you have a way to back it up if the power goes out. He says to also be aware of how you heat your home.
We don't want to run any engine-operated equipment or gas or propane-powered heating devices indoors because of the risk of carbon monoxide.
For Health Minute, I'm Mandy Gaither.
In less than 3 months, a total solar eclipse will be passing right through Central Texas. And coming up after the break, we hear from several eclipse experts that have answers to all your questions in this week's Degrees of Science. Stick with us. We'll be right back.
It's going to be very, very cool, and it is one of the unique experiences that we have. And nature gets a lot confused when the total solar eclipse happens. Babies cry, you're going to hear cicadas because the nature understands it's becoming nighttime. I wouldn't cross the street to watch a 50% or partial eclipse, but we should travel around the world to watch a total solar eclipse. It's a really unique experience. I'm usually saying that watching a total solar eclipse is a visceral experience because you know it's coming, but when you get to see the diamond ring, it's fabulous.
The moon will cover the last bit of the bright sun. And during this last bit, you can get some phenomena. With your eclipse glasses, you can see just the broken up limb of the sun, that the little bit that's not yet covered up. And that's, it's broken up because a little bit of the sun is shining through just a few valleys along the moon's limb edge, and those are called Bailey beads. And then after that, the moon will continue to move over the disk of the sun, and these Bailey beads will only be there a few seconds before there's just one left, and that can be just like a very bright final light of the sun shining through some deep valleys in the moon, along the edge of the moon. And around the rim, you can start to see the glow of the outer atmosphere of the sun, called the corona. And that is called the diamond ring effect, because it looks like that last bit of light that's shining through the valleys is like a diamond, and the rest of the surrounding faintly glowing atmospheres like the ring. For the next 3 or 4 minutes, depending where you're at, the moon will completely cover the bright part of the sun, and then it's just incredibly dramatic if you're I think if you're a human being and if you're even an animal, apparently, because animals actually react to it too, because they aren't expecting it to get night and to get night that rapidly and at that time of the day. But for us humans, you can see a part of the sun that you do not ever see in your normal life.
The corona is the outer layer of the sun. So if you can see that it's a diffuse kind of gas material that is around the sun. We cannot see it because the density is very low. When there is an eclipse, the sun is the surface of the sun, the photosphere is being covered by the moon, and we can see faint stuff. So you can see this diffuse structure on top of it.
Once in a lifetime opportunity, and the 2024 eclipse will be coming right down Interstate 35. And we actually anticipate 1 million visitors coming through this area. So move out of your house, rent your house out. I went to the last one a few years ago. I went to Hiawatha, Kansas, little town of 1,200, 6,000 people. And many of the people actually did rent their homes for $1,000 a night, because people were there from all over the world, and it was remarkable.
One interesting thing is that you should put your glasses like this and then look at the sun and then put them down and take them off. Don't be looking at the sun and then taking that. That's a big mistake. But if you had glasses from the past eclipse, and this is my old ones, they're very used. Don't use those, okay? They have a shelf lifetime of 18 months, and the total solar eclipse was in 2017. But if you want to buy yourself something, I think it's
didn't know about
really...
This is really cool.
Yeah, so you can buy a Sunoculus. This, you cannot see anything. They're pretty black, and they cost about $20, but you can find them. But again, from the same websites that you can get those glasses, and those you can actually use right now and see the solar spots.
Well, to learn more on the total solar eclipse happening this year, scan the QR code on your screen to find several informative videos on our Degrees of Science YouTube page, or you can go to KWTX.com/Degrees of Science. Straight ahead on Weather Extra, we hear updates from NASA officials on 2 special projects planned over the next few years. We'll have more on that when we come back. Welcome back to Weather Extra. This past Tuesday, NASA officials announced that the nation's first mission to return astronauts to the moon in over half a century is being pushed back. The announcement stated that Artemis 2, which is designed to send humans back into orbit around the moon, is now set for September of next year instead of later this year. Artemis 3, which was scheduled to send humans to the lunar South Pole in late 2025, has been bumped to September 2026. NASA's working closely with private companies on the moon landing program. Administrator Bill Nelson explained the reason for the delays at an afternoon teleconference this past Tuesday. Here's what he had to say.
Safety is our top priority, and to give Artemis teams more time to work through the challenges with first-time developments, operations, and integration, we're going to give more time on Artemis 2 and 3.
Administrator Nelson says the 4 astronauts selected for the Artemis 2 mission continue to train for the trip. They include 3 Americans and 1 Canadian that you see on your screen right now. Well, NASA is also planning to send a crewed mission to Mars in the decades ahead, but you may not know that a Mars mission is already underway right here on Earth. Bradley Blackburn reports on the crew now in the middle of an important experiment.
The Johnson Space Center in Texas, inside a large hangar, 4 volunteers are living like they're on another planet. The mission, called Chapea-1, began last July, a 378-day test of what it will be like when astronauts are on Mars.
At times, we very much feel like we're away, in some distant place.
Some people think that this is crazy, but for me, I've always wanted to make a contribution to spaceflight.
NASA 3D printed a Martian habitat and even mimicked the red soil. They're testing how to live with extremely limited resources 100 million miles away. Grace Douglas is running the mission back on Earth.
We might also have to send a lot of the supplies ahead of the crew, and in this case, we might not be able to send preferences for certain things like food.
Even though the crew members are right here in Houston, communicating with them is a challenge. There's up to a 22-minute delay to send signals each way, just like it would be if they were actually on Mars.
There's a bandwidth limitation as well.
Crew members recorded responses to our written questions, but they mostly email with their loved ones and with Mission Control.
The crew is actually really innovative and adaptive and troubleshoots really rapidly in times where we can't get an answer back from Mission Control very quickly.
With surveys and sensors, NASA is monitoring their physical and mental health too. There's an emotional toll of isolation, and they are eager to get home.
Definitely looking forward to a jump in the ocean and then drying in the sun.
I miss my partner, I miss my family, I miss my friends, and I'm so looking forward to seeing them.
A crew making a real sacrifice on Earth so man can be ready for Mars. Bradley Blackburn, CBS News at the Johnson Space Center.
Before we go, just one last reminder to keep those peas protected in this severe winter weather. Those peas are your pipes, pets, plants, and people. And yes, that means you. It's very important to make sure you are dressing appropriately in this extreme cold and just staying inside whenever you can. So stay safe. Central Texas will begin to thaw out later in the work week. Well, that's all we have for you on this episode of Weather Extra. We'll see you again next weekend.